Hi everyone, my name is Nathan. I'm 1500 rapid on chess.com and 1600 blitz on Chess. I started this YouTube channel to document my journey to 2000 ELO. I mostly play rapid and blitz games on this YouTube account, but I understand that if I'm going to try to cross 2000 ELO, then I need to do more than just play chess. I need to study chess. And so I am creating a new series called Mastering Chess with Nathan. You can join me on this journey of chess improvement by liking, subscribing, and turning on notifications so you don't miss another episode. Thank you. Today we'll be looking at learning the London system or the London opening. It begins when white plays d4, controlling the center, specifically the c5 and e5 squares, and generally discouraging black from playing c5 or e5 themselves. It also opens up white's dark square bishop to enter the game later. White is also threatening to play e4 later to further control the center if black allows it. In this opening, black prevents e4 by playing d5. White can then play the accelerated London system by playing bishop to f4. This develops white's dark square bishop to a more active square and allows white to further protect their d4 pawn by playing e3 without trapping their dark square bishop behind a pawn chain. Black's best move is to play c5. Taking the pawn on c5 is generally discouraged because black can easily win it back later in the game. But also because it weakens white's control of the center. In this opening, white instead responds with pawn to e3. This over-defends the pawn on d4 and opens up white's light square bishop to enter the game later. Here, black can develop his knight to f6. White counters by playing knight to d2. You could imagine a scenario in the future where white plays c3, bishop to d3, and then eventually strikes in the center with e4, challenging black's entire setup and winning control over the center. This is also a common idea in the London system. e6. Black can play e6, preparing to castle, and white's best move would be to move knight to f3. The knight on the g square develops to f3, also preparing for white to castle. Bishop to e7. If black develops his bishop to e7, then white can just calmly play c3, just solidifying the center and preventing black from threatening knight to b4 in the future. If black captures in the center with pawn takes on d4, white can recapture. The pawn takes on d4. Black castles. Here the computer recommends knight to e5. Moving white's knight towards the center and threatening black's dark square bishop and queen at some point in the future. For example, if black moves the b7 pawn and the knight on b8, then white can simply recapture the knight, threatening the dark square bishop and the queen. Moving white's light square bishop to e2 or preferably d3 is also good in this position, leaving kingside castling as an option. Although in some positions castling queenside, for example, queen to c2, castle queenside, and then launching a kingside attack is also an option. If black plays c6, knight to c6, then white can develop his light square bishop to d3, preparing to castle while also putting pressure on black's h7 square. If black tries to swap the knights off with knight to d7, then we can defend that knight with knight to f3. If black captures on e5, then white captures back with their knight on f3. If black recaptures, then white can recapture with bishop to e5. As you can see, white is putting a lot of pressure on black's kingside with his bishop pair, and is also threatening to slide his queen into the attack. Or potentially pushing his kingside pawns up the board as well to try to open up on the h-file. In the London opening, it's very common for white to delay castling when their king is not in danger, and to use their pieces and their pawns to attack black's king. Here black tries to relieve some of the pressure by playing bishop to d6. White can then bring their queen in to join in on the attack with queen to h5, threatening checkmate on h7. If black is not careful. For instance, bishop captures on e5 would just end the game on the next move with queen to h7. Black's best move to defend against checkmate in 1 is g6, after which white can calmly retreat the queen to e2. Bishop captures on e5 is met with queen captures on e5. After f6, the queen moves to g3, keeping up the pressure on black's king. queen to e7 is met with kingside castling by white. And now white has a pretty pleasant position. White's king is quite safe, and black has no immediate kingside attack. White's bishop is more active on the diagonal, while black's bishop is more passive. White also has a better pawn structure compared to black. And next, white is going to play rook to e1, controlling the file and putting pressure on black's queen. One idea for white is even doubling on the e file and maybe pushing the h pawn up to try and open up black's king. Like I mentioned before, there are many different variations of the London system, which if I had to delve into would take several hours for the video to be completed. Still, I wanted to highlight some of the interesting options. For instance, d4, d5, bishop to f4, c5, e3, knight to f6, knight to d2, e6, knight to f3, and then queen to b6, which is the computer's recommended line. Now this is a multi-purpose move. It puts pressure on b2, forcing white to defend with b1 rather. And delaying white's normal London setup. It also prepares bishop to d7, and then b5 to trade white's light square bishop. Which is also a key kingside attacker in the London system. White is also pressuring d4 through moves like knight to c6. White's best move is simply to defend the pawn with rook to b1, as I already mentioned. After which black takes on d4. White recaptures, bishop to d7, c3, bishop to b5, like we already mentioned. White's best move is to capture the bishop. Queen recaptures, a4, queen to a6, queen to b3, queen to b6, check, knight to d7, king to e2, bishop to e7, rook to a1, knight to h5, bishop gets out of the way, knight to f6, queen takes on b6, pawn takes on b6, after which we get a pretty much equal position with a slight advantage for white. I just wanted to highlight that queen to b6 move because it seems like such a natural move for black, which white needs a good response to. The London is a great opening which has a reputation for being very positional, but it also offers a lot of attacking potential. In the next video, I'll be going over a classical game of Magnus Carlsen versus an Iranian grandmaster, Ehsan Magami, from the 2016 Olympiad in Baku, Azerbaijan, which will highlight how top players handle this opening. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.